you know when you know that, like I know that I probably look better with hair, so I keep it, but it's also very annoying. Like when I went surfing the other day, I got hit with like waves, and you get the whitewash of the wave, and then once the wave's gone, then you get the hair. So
In your face.
you're like double blinded.
Yeah,
So I went out the other day and I was like, it was pretty bad.
Start wearing a swimming cap.
And goggles. If I was like a good surfer, I would always do shit like that, like look like a kook, but then be really good.
You can shoot like you can do it, and it's fine.
It's fine, yeah, because you're good.
Yeah.
I was thinking, have you seen how people, like what's it called? Jackass did that bad grandpa, and they dressed him up like an old dude, and then he went and just did normal life and freaked people out.
Yeah.
So a guy that raced motocross, Dean Wilson, he did the same. Like went and got like professionally like made out to be like an old guy.
Yeah.
And he went to the motocross track and he was like going up to people that he knew and was just like, oh, what's this bike? And like just like being a real kook. Yeah. And then he's like, can I follow you for a few laps and stuff? And they're all just like, bro, this guy's going to die. And he's like, gets on the bike and starts like whiskey throttling. And then he ends up going out and starts like going proper against these guys. And they're all just like, people look like, what the fuck? Who is this guy?
So good.
So I want to do, it'd be pretty funny to do something like that with mountain biking, like rock up to a race and just like, get all dressed up and then just go and just mess with people.
Should actually do that.
I think it would be good. You just need to get good makeup. Like he's fully like they put like molding and stuff like hours and
proper.
Hours. Yeah, so you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know at all.
There was a basketballer that did that as well. It was Kyrie Irving.
Got dressed up like
yeah, and then like goes to like the random courts on the streets, and then just fucking pumps and just dunking and like all this wild shit. So good. yeah.
Just owns it.
People are just like, what?
Bro, it's good. All right, Sultan Kirby, welcome back. This time we didn't buy you any more followers for your entry onto the podcast.
I'm still living off that fame.
So for anyone that doesn't know, last time Sultan came on, my friend Joe McDonald thought it would be funny to buy him some followers as like I don't even know what it was for, just because we thought it'd be funny. But Joe had never met Sultan, and he came into meeting him halfway through. We had already started the podcast, and he came onto it, and we kind of announced that, we were the ones that, he was the one that brought it. We have a plan for Joe, don't we? Or you have a plan for Joe.
I do, yeah. But we'll keep.
We won't talk about that, but yeah,
we'll keep that one.
Every action has a reaction. Hey,
absolutely.
So, I feel like this is gonna be more of a therapy session than anything. There's been some hostility going on now, but I want to talk to you about, because I want to try and make this more of a common thing, and even try and do it like once a week and debrief on things that are going down.
Yeah, but sounds good.
I know the last time we can't, not this is after Joe, we did one, but it was at a stage in the night that we probably couldn't release what we did, so we kind of left it.
Yeah.
But it was funny, man. I was talking to you about how when you are a certain person or you come across as a certain person, there's normally like an ocean of reasons why you became that person. And it's like most of the people that you see that are really like gentle or really friendly or really outgoing normally went through some shit that made them that way. And it's like like sometimes I meet people that are super, super happy, and you're almost just like, what happened, man? Like, what hurt you to, because I don't think you can be that level of happy without going through a certain level of kind of pain and anguish and being defeated, and then you kind of learn from that, and then you bounce back and go to the other end of the spectrum. But I wanted you to touch on when you were kind of growing up and what it was like growing up, and then how that kind of formed you to be who you are now.
Yeah. All right, cool. I was just going real deep.
Well, D&M's with Dean, bro. We're going to dive it in. The off-track experience is dead.
No, that's cool, though. Well, I think, like, what we sort of, like, circling back to that last conversation when we did do that one, and I think we sort of just talking about, like, the adversity of being different in like, a community, and that can look like so many different things. But I guess for me personally, I grew up in a really nice area in Melbourne, which I'm super fortunate enough to have been, in an affluent area growing up, and my parents were, able to sort of provide for myself and for them and everything, and which is cool. But I guess it was one of those things where it came with like it was a very like white dominant area. So I guess with that being said, I kind of felt the pinch, and it not like there's moments of like real like proper racist stuff that you deal with in your life. But that being said, that goes for so many different people, and that's just, I guess, about being a minority. But I think one of the challenging thing was just the really undertone stuff that constantly went on, and that came, I guess, over time with a feeling of exclusion, and not like full bullying or anything like that, but there's definitely an element of exclusion. And
you felt different in a way.
Totally. Yeah. And once again, this isn't an everyday thing. It's not constantly being peppered at you, because I just want to make it very clear that that's not the way that my life went. And for lots of people that would maybe have felt the same way, probably would be the same. But just having that feeling of different and exclusion, from time to time, and just probably being a little bit more switched on to feeling that in the moment because you've experienced it before. So you're going to be a little bit sensitive to it. And yeah, I don't know, it just, at the time you think nothing of it. But then it was funny, I was doing some self-development work with a couple of really good friends now, but Genoa and Blake, and we sort of like went into the biggest values that we have, and I sort of did some sort of searching as to like what my values were and the biggest things that I sort of bring to the table. And after thinking about it really deeply, one of them was inclusion. And so we broke it down, and it's like I love including people in any scenario, and making sure that people don't feel left out, or that they're sort of being pushed to the side when another group of people are doing something else. And I never thought about it until that moment when we went through that stuff. And then it sort of came to me. I was like, fuck, it's because that is the feeling that I felt growing up, and it was just never ever something that I wanted other people to feel. So I've gone the other way, and I've like not being a victim, not my mentality whatsoever, but more so just going, I don't want other people to feel that, so I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that no one feels that. So yeah, I think like going back to what you're saying, it's like super. I think there's just two ways that people handle things, and there's the victim mentality where oh, this has happened to me, and like it's the worst thing in the world, and then they'll use that and it'll be a negative in their life. And then there are people that will go, well, I don't ever want to be like the person that was giving me that, so I'm going to do everything in my power to be complete opposite of that, and I'm going to be better than that, and I'm going to never let that come into my life. So this is two ways to approach a negative scenario in anything in life, right? So, and I think that comes down to the person, but you like, it can be even a positive. If you are super successful and you make lots and lots of money, you can become a dick, or you can be amazing and you can support people and give to charity and be humble with your success. So yeah, I guess it plays on both sides.
And it's funny as well, when you do that, when you're giving more and more, then it comes back again. It's like the more you give, the more you receive,
100%.
Which is it seems backwards as you're doing it. Like we're such a like hunter-gatherer, like my stuff, my things, my money, you can't get it. And as soon as you open up to just giving to people, it just seems to come back tenfold, and you're like, oh shit, this is.
Yeah, completely agree. Like I'm an Egyptian background, and so like that kind of culture is very sharing, and you just give everything, right? Like, you give your last $10 or you share your last $10 rather than like hoard it and keep it for yourself. So that's also been a really big thing in my life as well. It's like just like give good things, and then I guess it does come back. Might not come back straight away, but eventually it will.
You realize you've got enough.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
Well, yeah. It's like it's just money. Make it again.
And that's the thing as well I always play with this idea, and it's something that I don't think a lot of people think of, but they're like, what is enough? Like, what is enough money? What is enough cars? What is enough of this? And you kind of probably hit a point where you go, oh, this is enough. And then it's at that point, that's when you start giving back to other people. Like it is, I'm not saying it's harder because you can obviously give at all times, but sometimes when you're obviously not in a secure place, it's harder to give as much because you don't have as much to give, whether that be time, energy, love, effort, whatever it is. But you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable. Let's pull some other people up with us. And I think that comes back to that inclusion thing where you're like, all right, because it's like, who wants to be on a ride by themselves?
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's the most, like, I don't know. I think like humans, like we're pack animals. Like we thrive in groups. I mean, even like if I sort of go back to like my business, it's like it's so lonely. Like you don't have anyone to bounce off because I don't have a business partner, and it's like that's not how. Like I love thriving with other people, so. It's like watching other people win is probably one of the most beautiful things in the world. Like there is nothing better than seeing friends, acquaintances, whatever, having huge wins. Like I love it. Like, I don't know. Some people not always have that same view.
Yeah, I think it's you get that tunnel vision of like me, win, and you kind of focus on that. But like this whole place was built around getting people to come in and create and do what they're good at. And like you say with your business, if you have people come in that can help you grow that, you're like, yeah, more the merrier kind of thing.
100%. 100%. Like, totally.
Did you feel like when you came as well, because you started Compound, did you have that started when you were in Melbourne still?
Yeah, so I started it there.
Because do you want to, we'll go back a little bit further, because do you want to touch on, you obviously, because you've started a few businesses now, was there a point when you kind of went, okay, I don't want to work for someone else, I want to do my own thing? And how was the kind of leap to make that call and that decision? Or was it a defining factor where you're like, I want change and I need to do it now? And how was that kind of self-talk going through that?
Yeah, I've never been great at being told what to do. It's like I kind of always have just enjoyed running my own race and like being able to like just do the things I want to do. And I guess probably then that is sort of comes into the business side of it. And it's so I was working in real estate for about 5 years or 4 years, and then I was like, I just want to work for myself and I want to do something for me. So decided to open a prepared meal company, and this was in the time where like U-Foods, for example, had just started. So I got in at that same time, which was cool because I got to ride this wave of the niche business in a market. And anyway, so I started doing it, and I was working 6 days a week in real estate, long hours. And then I started doing this on the side because it was more of I'm not going to take the plunge until I can see that there's value and I can go and afford to do it, without working a job. And I still remember this. So I'll go back. So launched the business, was doing it on the side, was cooking food in my mate's cafe after hours on a Sunday. So I'd go Sunday morning to the markets and buy a whole heap of produce and food. I'd take it to my mate's cafe. They would shut it at 3. We'd start prepping at 4. It was all good for the first couple of weeks because it was only 100 meals, 150 meals, and then it just took off. And we're doing I think we're doing nearly 300 or 400 meals in 3 or 4 weeks a week. It's a lot of food. I didn't know what I was doing.
It's all new. It's all so new.
Yeah, I've got this attempted Excel spreadsheet that's trying to spit out figures and numbers for the right amount of food of everything. It was chaos. And then, you know, so I was basically working through that. So I'd do 6 days, and then I'd work that Sunday in this cafe helping chefs cook these meals. I have done a chef's course back in the day. And anyway, so we crack on. Once it got busy, I was finishing at like 4 a.m, and then I was going back, and then I'd wake up 7, be at work by 8 to start my 6-day week. And I was like, fuck, I can't. This isn't sustainable. I need to just take the plunge. And then the defining moment, I was getting my orders in, and I had a meeting with someone in the office, and the person comes and says, "Oh, your meeting's here." I said, "No, not right now. I'm just like trying to punch out these last minute orders so I can like get all the ordering done for all the fruit and veg and all the produce." And I was like, okay, this is like, I've just said no to a meeting where I've got someone in there. I was like, this is the moment where I probably just have to take the plunge, because this is not sustainable. So
you kind of zoom out, hey, and go, wait a minute, where's the effort going right now? Yeah,
100%. It's like, it's not fair for me to show up like that to my employee as well. Like that's not fair. I'd be pretty frustrated now as a business owner if an employee of mine was doing that.
Ben starts cooking meals downstairs.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm not coming in today, bro.
I'll know when he starts cooking meals. There's a problem.
Industrial kitchen downstairs.
Yeah, but yeah. So that was the moment that I realised, I was like, it's time to just go balls deep and go for it. And it was amazing. Like, had some like really quick wins and quick growth, but then
was there still a lot of fear in that to take that dive?
Heaps. But I was excited. Like, I think I've never had a fear of failure. Like, I don't care if I fail. Like, it's just like you just build again. So I think maybe like, and that came from like my first job of like picking up the phone and cold calling businesses selling printer cartridges. Like, man, that's a grim fucking job, I tell you. But like the amount of rejection that I copped, and like the failures that I copped in that business, I was like, oh, it's not even that bad. Like, it's all good, you know? So yeah, I think taking the plunge for me in anything, like, I'm just like, fuck it, like, just do it. Which I'm really grateful to have that kind of mentality towards stuff, because I understand that for some people taking risk can be like a really scary moment and a really tough decision to make. So it's kind of nice to have that one in the back pocket, you know?
It's funny that you say the thing about rejection. I remember, I think it was either The Simpsons or Family Guy or something, and I think it was like Quagmire, you know, obviously like him, and he's obviously someone that's always got girls and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Stewie's like, I want to pick up girls. Can I come out with you and see how you pick up girls?
Yeah.
And they go out to like the mall, and he literally just goes up to pretty much every single girl and it's like, hey, can I get your number? And starts hitting on them. And he gets rejected 9 out of 10 times, but he gets that one.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. And I'm like, not just, you can use that not just on girls, but on cold calling, on opportunities, on people. Like, if you're scared of rejection, you're not going to get that one. You're going to get none.
That's right.
So it's that thing to be like, okay, I might get rejected 10 times, but that last one could be the best thing that could have happened. But
100%.
You've got to be okay with that, taking those losses.
Life's a numbers game, right?
Yeah.
It's like, like opportunities. Like, opportunities come to people that put themselves out there. And you can't put yourself out there without understanding that there might be an element of rejection or a fear of rejection, or that you're going to fail. Otherwise, you'll never take an opportunity. But the more opportunity that you take, one's going to land, you know. So,
and not taking it personally either.
No. And I think this is probably the hardest thing for me to understand, or accepting failure. So I failed that first business monumentally. So that business, like, we grew really fast, and my only driver was money. I didn't have a passion for what I was doing. My passion was, I was trying to get rich quick, and it's like that is just, now that I think about it, it's like, it's quite funny, because I would never do that again. But that was a very valuable lesson that I learned. And if you like having that driver of like just money, I didn't care about anything. So then I made silly mistakes. So I didn't care about the quality of the food. I went frozen instead of fresh, so we could grow into other states, drop the price, but it wasn't as good. So then we could do bigger volume, and then, long story short, I basically went into I had like a 3PL, like a third party freezer company that was holding my stock, and they left it out. I had nearly $100,000 worth of food. They left it out, and it all went off. And then they put it back in the freezer, and then they just, business as usual, and they pretended like nothing ever happened. And they started sending out food that had gone off to my customers, like damage control, carnage, like people, like, the food tastes sour, all of these things. And fuck, I just don't know like what could have happened. Like they literally, they live in a freezer. I don't understand. And then ended up finding out a bit more about it, but they didn't. So I couldn't do anything because they were claiming that all their freezer checks were fine. So I basically had to, waste all of that food, all of my hard work down the gurgler in one moment. And that only came because I was trying to push and like drive this thing purely for like a money focus. Otherwise I'd never have done that. It would have always been fresh. So yeah, very valuable lessons on just doing something because you actually enjoy it, not because you just want to make money, because you'll never fucking succeed. Money's got to be the byproduct of the hard work and the grunt that you put into something that you love, for sure.
And that's a hard thing because I always play around with this in mind. Like, you've got a passion, you do it if you weren't getting paid, and then you get better at it, and then someone's like, hey, I'll pay you for that. And you're kind of like, well, that's going to mess with it as well. Like, it's that, I talk about this with Jono, and it's like, protect your dreams and your passions. Because I think a lot of the times when people get really good at something and they go, hey, like, I'll pay you to do this, no matter what that is, I think it can really negatively affect how you actually view that thing. And even if you're getting paid heaps of money for that thing, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And it's like, how much do you actually want to do that thing now? And obviously you have to do something, but it's like, okay, I get the whole like do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, but then it's like, do you want to do that thing anymore? And that's the tricky balancing act of doing something that you enjoy, but not something that. And I think it's just knowing yourself enough to have those little side things that you like can have those things. Okay, I need to fill my cup with something else, and that's my thing, and just protecting that for that.
Yeah. I think. Well, I mean, just doing one thing over and over and over, like, it's gonna lose its shine eventually, right? And especially when you're doing it for money, because it's now like it's putting food on your table. Like, it's not like you're just showing up on a Saturday and going, fuck, how fun's this? It's like, no. Like, if this doesn't work, I don't eat. And like, that adds an element of stress, pressure, so you start to potentially resent it at times because, things might not be going as they do or as they should be going to plan. So you're like, fuck, why am I doing this? And you second guess the whole industry. You second guess what you're doing, why you're there. Should you go back and work 9 to 5? Like, yeah, but when it's a passion and you love doing what you're doing, I think this probably would be a big thing with like you and writing, like, it was a passion. You loved it, every minute of it. And then suddenly you go into doing it for a profession. I don't know, it's like loses its shine a bit, surely.
Well, I know I've been open about this. One of the best years I ever had racing was 2015. Wasn't getting paid, had a great year. 2016 started getting paid, worst year. Like, crazy. And that's what I mean. It's like you never expect it to go that way, hey? Like, I always compare it to like you're the dog chasing the car and then you finally catch it and then you sit there and you go, well, this isn't as fun. Kind of thing. It's like some cars you don't want to catch. You just kind of want to chase them forever. So
yeah, no, I get it. But it's also like, it's just making sure that you have other things that you enjoy and that you do outside of whatever it is. So if you're really good at doing something, like, of course you should pursue that and like make that your craft. But you got to make sure that there's other things that fill your cup up, like you said, outside of.
I don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, that's the same with anything, because then when you're doing it for a passion, that's not what you like. That's not your full-time thing, is it? And that's why you're loving it, because that's something that you do external. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's just making sure that you've got more than one avenue to like
go put your energy into.
Yeah.
So what happened after that? Was that kind of the did that kind of harpoon the company, and that's when you kind of started to look at different avenues and options?
Yeah, so done. I could have tried to salvage it, but I was just like chewed up and spat out. I was like, fuck. I think because the mistake didn't come from me personally, it was like an external factor that I had no control of. I was like, I don't understand, like I've literally just like had all my blood, sweat, and tears just taken away from me for such a simple mistake that these people had made, and it had ruined and crushed my livelihood. And then they just turned their head and go, "No, it wasn't us," because they didn't want to be liable for $100,000 worth of off food. So, yeah, I was a bit down in the dumps, man. And also the hardest thing was admitting, like, it was my ego, admitting to my friends and my family that I failed a business back then was so hard because so many people didn't believe in me, and so many people were kind of, fuck, is he actually going to do it right here? And so there was so much doubt in like the success of what I was trying to do.
So it's almost like you have less issue with failure from yourself, but it's failure from the external inputs of people that do doubt you. And
totally, because your ego.
You almost prove them right.
Exactly, because it was like so much of that. It was like, I need to make sure that everyone knows that I was able to do this and that they were wrong, and that ego just kept going and going. And then once I let it go and I just started telling people, I'm like, yeah, no, I did fail. Man, the weight off my shoulders, like I felt fucking amazing,
Yeah.
and like tell the story. And then I guess it was like the people that thought that I was never gonna do okay or whatever. It's like they're the people you don't want in your life anyway. People that are second guessing you. It's like I want people that are in my corner backing me, going, "Fuck yeah, like we're cheering for you." The same as I would do for anyone who's setting out to do something. Doesn't matter if it's business, sport, whatever. So yeah, I realized it didn't matter about those people. Like they're not important to me. The people that matter would never, be scrutinizing me like so negatively.
And it's also just owning your flaws.
Yeah,
And owning the shit that's gone wrong. It's like, the 8 Mile, the B Rabbit thing.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's just like, this is who I am. I'm a fuck up. This happened to me. This happened. This is bad. It's like,
what have you got to say?
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like putting yourself down, but it's just like owning your shit.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
once you do that, it's hard for someone to come at you and be like, "Oh, you did this." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, next. I learned from that. Next."
Yeah, so true. And like it was the best. Like everything that happened through those failures was the best things, best lessons I've ever learned ever. In hindsight now, but at the time, like
At the time it sucks,
dude. I was just like,
but it's good.
Why
though.
me?
Yeah.
Like just full victimizing myself at that moment. I'm like, hang on, like it's just life. Like it's all good. It's just money. You'll rebuild. You'll try something new, and then obviously from there, it's like it's kind of I've flourished into something that I actually love, and that I've stumbled across. And because that food company was in the fitness industry, I'd never have gotten into gym equipment without already having the contacts in the fitness industry. So without prepped, nothing would be current. Like none of this would be a thing. And I love what I do, and I love the team that I've built, and I love the brand that I've built, and I love being able to show up with people in my corner and me just having a complete confidence around what we do versus back then, because it was so different.
Did you have that fear again after obviously having something fail and knowing how much effort, time, and energy got put into that, and then to be like, all right, here we go again, kind of thing?
Yeah, 100%. Nah.
You were just like,
I was just dialed in, just like blinkers on, let's go.
and that, oh man, I think about that so often. Like that's the thing, and it needs to be that way. Like people, I guess, they look at when you've been through really hard shit and they go, oh, I can't believe you're still doing it, or you're showing up again or whatever. I'm like, what other option is there? Like, what else are you going to do? And like, I remember a girl said this to me the other day, because I was like, I went through a real bad relationship when I was 16 to probably about like 20, 21, and it messed me up really bad, like really bad. I didn't open myself up to feeling love for probably like 5, 6 years. I was just like, as soon as I get close to someone, self-sabotage, abort, I'm out. I'm not getting hurt. I didn't want to give someone that control over my emotions again because of how badly they got treated in that time. So the door was closed. And if the door's closed, nothing's coming in, nothing's going out. And you get to that point where you're like, what's the point in doing this if you're actually never going to take that risk and have that, oh shit, what could happen? And I guess you can use that same analogy in business. It's just like you close off to everything and nothing's going to happen. But it's like you open up to it and go, all right, again, like here we go again. And it could be great, it could be terrible, but you're not going to feel either of those emotions if you don't even open the door to see what's inside.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
But I guess it's like the resilience you have to build in those moments, especially when it's out of your control. Like if you fuck up and you know I fucked up, I feel like it's easier to own that than when something happens that you had no control over that happening. It's harder because it's like you couldn't do anything, but then it also should be almost easy because you're like, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like that you always have control of an outcome, whether it be that in that particular moment or the things leading up to putting yourself in that moment. So did I have control of them leaving the food out? No. Did I have control on doing more homework on the company to see if they were better? Did I have more control to ensure that my stock was going to be covered by them if they made mistakes? No. Did I have control to insure my stock? Yes. Sorry, yes is not no's.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But, you know, so like you do have control, but it might just not be in that particular moment there. It might be just one step before. So, and that was the thing that I sort of sat with. I'm like, well, you know what? They fucked up. Yeah, but like, what did you do to ensure that they weren't, or that they were definitely the right fit for your business? I didn't really. I was just like, million miles an hour,
going,
go. Because that was just that's just me, you know, like I'm 100 miles an hour. But yeah, I think you always have the ability to control an outcome.
And I think that comes back to the victim mentality. They look at, oh, this went wrong, fuck them, whatever. Like this is all on them. But then they don't take that accountability to be like, actually, there's a lot of things that I could have put in place to make sure this didn't happen.
Right.
And then I guess you learnt from that going into the next business.
Massively. Oh, man.
So what was the transition through that? So obviously you made contacts in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
And then what was the call to be like, all right, this is the go now. This is the change.
So I was going for a walk with my dog, and a guy that I'd met in the fitness industry through Prepped, he literally just pulled over and he's like, mate, how you going? I'm like, yeah, good. We started having a chat. He's like, oh, what are you up to now? And I said, oh, nothing. You know, I've finished up with Prepped and just doing my thing. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, well, I've just invested into a gym equipment company. Would you be keen to come and do some sales? I was like, yeah, you know, like why not? Like I'm not doing anything right now, so let's give it a crack. So this is a startup shit show. They didn't know what they were doing. There was no equipment in here yet and all this sort of stuff. And anyway, so I said, let's go, let's give it a crack. Had some really good success really quickly with sales. Did like nearly $250,000 of sales in like the first 2 months or something with that business, with like barely even a website. Like it was, as I said, a bit of a shit show. So at that point I was like, look, I wouldn't mind buying into the business because, you know, I can see that there's legs in this. And then they refused. So I said, that's fine. I'll just go do my own thing. So then I started a gym equipment company, but I would buy wholesale from local companies rather than bringing my own brand in. And then I also had a flooring company, so bring gym flooring in and then sell that. And then that was all going well. And then COVID hit, and I'm sure you might be aware, but gym equipment space went bonkers.
Did it go bonk?
Oh well, all the gyms shut, but like everyone wanted home gyms. It was
Oh, true. I was
out
going
of
to say, I thought it would have crashed a bit because
nah,
all
like
the actual gyms got closed, but everyone wanted it
it
just
was
in their
out
own.
of control. Like I've never seen anything like it. Like it was insane.
It's insane the difference between how COVID affected people in such a negative way, where they lost all their business, and then other people, I'm making
Booms.
money hand over fist kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. The equipment industry was one of those things. If you
Do
can
you
get
want
your
to move
hands on
this
the equipment,
move this a little bit closer down actually, and then go maybe like. Okay. I'll come up.
is that better? Better there. Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah, cool. No worries. Oh, it's completely different. Yeah, so if you could get your hands on gym equipment, like, companies were literally charging whatever they wanted.
Mm.
It was actually like pretty bad because people were just doing things that probably a bit out of line in terms of like charging double the price, triple the price.
Greed's a real thing, hey.
Just taking advantage of opportunists.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Did that because I'm just touching on in the mountain bike industry. So same thing. You can't go do stuff, but you can buy a mountain bike and go riding in the forest. So everyone mountain biking just went absolute bananas, which was funny because my team got onto me like, "Oh, we're gonna probably have to cut your pay," and I was like, "Fair enough. I'm not racing. Like, I'm not doing my job."
Yeah.
They cut the first month of pay, and then I had a conversation with them a month after, and like, "Hey, we're gonna put your pay back to normal, just because we're actually making, we're literally with more money than we've ever made." So so I was still doing video and like content stuff, but they're like, it's kind of hard to be cutting salaries when you're making more than you've ever made before. So it was like, but they've shot themselves in the foot now. So again, coming back to what greed does, it's every bike manufacturer obviously saw this massive uptake in sales. So then everyone over ordered bikes because they were all backlogged. And again, people could charge what they want. You buy secondhand bikes for more than you paid for them brand new, like stuff like that. And because of that, all these brands just back ordered all these bikes, and then fast forwards, okay, now the bikes have finally arrived. Inflation, whatever else is going on in their lives is okay. Money's tightened up, interest rates have gone up, all these things. Okay, now no one wants to buy bikes, but you've just put millions of dollars into stock that is just sitting in crates and containers all around the world. So the bike industry is in a really tough spot at the moment. So there's heaps of teams that have folded.
Is this just from a surplus of stock, just having way too much stock?
Yeah. Is that something that's kind of happened in the gym industry as well, with that kind of the boom? Obviously, after a boom, there's always going to be a crash, but has it been to that level, or is it not as bad?
Yeah, most definitely. But it's like for myself, because I didn't have my own brand, it was all good. But there's some companies that doubled down massively, and these are companies, to give you like reference, that would have been doing $5-6 million in revenue a year, and then they go into the COVID space to doing like 18-19 million in rev a year. Like, that is crazy jump, right? And then it's like it's like, okay, well, you've got people that understand that it's it's an inflated market and that this isn't going to last forever, and then you've got people that are, I don't know, a bit stupid, I guess, and they go, "Oh, how good's this journey? This is who we are. Next year we'll probably do 50 million." It's like, that's not how it works, right? So those people are probably now licking their wounds big time. Well, I know that there are a few in the space that are doing that. So yeah, definitely a similar scenario to the bike industry for sure.
Chickens are going to come home to roost at some point, hey?
Well, that's it, right? Like, you can't keep doing that.
And I think it's that greed thing of again, the greed and what's enough. It's like, we're doing pretty well, we're tracking all right.
Yeah,
but I think we just like, it's all that the more.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess, but like, this is the thing, right? I guess people that, like, athletes, people that are in business, people that are just, they see something, they just want to take it and go for it. Like, those people, goalposts are always going to shift. So what was something that they'd be completely happy and content with 2 years ago is now just a freckle on the bum in comparison to what they are wanting to achieve. Like you've got people that, if I might say, once I turn over 5 million a year, that's where I'm happy with. And then once they do it, it's like, no, I need 10. So like goalposts always shift, and so I don't know.
It can be seen as such a good and a bad thing, because it's always good to, I think, have goals that you want to go after, but you've got to appreciate the process of where you're at and see what's, I guess, important in those moments. Because I don't think it's bad to strive for more, but at what cost is the thing.
Yeah, it's like, are you happy? Are you doing it, once again, it's like, are you doing it for the money, or are you doing it because, like, you're trying to change an industry, or you're trying to put something into a space to better people? It's like, what are you doing it for? Because once again, if it's money as the driver, then you kind of lost sight on what you're doing originally for anyway.
I think that's the thing when you go after something at the base of it all. What's the why?
Yeah.
Why are you creating this? Why are you putting so much time and effort and energy into something? And I think if you've got a strong why, then you should be fine. But if, like you say, it's like money, like you say, it should be a byproduct of doing something that you really enjoy, but not the driving force, because it will just burn out.
Yeah, and like once you've got it, then what?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you, like, once you've got money, like, what, and then what do you, what picks you up in the morning? What gets you going?
A perfect example is like Conor McGregor, man. Like he's got more money than he knows what to do with. He still wants to go fight in a cage because that's his passion.
Yeah, that's right.
And you imagine being like, you imagine never having to do anything ever again in your life. You're on yachts, you got your family, everything's good, and you're like, I want to go and get beat up in a cage in front of the world. Like that kind of, like, that's it. That's like, okay, that's your passion. Like he'd do that for free because that's, and the feeling that, like, that shows you that living to your true self and doing what you think you're the best at in the world and being that good at it, like that feeling is better than anything money can buy, because he can buy anything.
Yeah.
And he still wants to go back into that thing. Because what else would give you that feeling?
Nothing. That adrenaline, that moment of like being in the moment and just everyone cheering for you, and you're about to go in and rip someone's head off.
Well, you can speak on this because you did. Was it a Muay Thai fight or a boxing fight?
Boxing. Yeah.
Where was that?
That was in Melbourne. Thirsty,
Dude, I was talking to Jono about it the other day. I was like, you don't realise how thirsty you get from just chatting.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in Melbourne, just drinking too much and partying and just becoming a habit for what I would like. It just become part of my routine, and I was over it. I'm like, I need to stop doing this, but it's really hard when you and your core group are all doing the same things. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do a boxing fight, get me off the piss for 3 months and just train and put myself in the deep end where I can't fail it. I've signed up to a fight. I'm going to be fighting in front of people, so I need to give 100%, otherwise I'm going to get embarrassed. So yeah, I went and did that.
There's no hiding in a ring, hey?
Dude, like, most exhilarating but like most scary moment probably of my life. And when we were in it, so there was a fight, 3 fights before me, and this guy got like knocked out, like oxygen tank to the ring, like properly knocked out. And I was watching, I was just like, oh my God, like, is this going to be me? Am I going to be one getting knocked out in front of all my friends and family? It probably comes back, same thing, man. It's like the failure piece, it's the ego. It's like, it doesn't matter if you fail because you're doing something that no one else is prepared to do anyway, or very few people. And people, your friends and family, they're going, holy fuck, like, I can't believe he's doing this. Like, that's crazy. But in my head, I'm like, I can't fail in front of them and like embarrass myself. This is like, so, but I also think that drives you a little bit too. But anyway, I think there was nearly 1,000 people there, like, wild. And I'm like walking out, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing, man? And yeah, it was such a crazy experience. But man, I barely remember any of it. Like, just
in it.
in it. Like, you got in there, bell goes, don't even realise there's a crowd. Like, it's like full tunnel vision, you know. But such a cool experience.
And that feeling you can't buy, hey.
No,
You got to live it.
you can't. Like, the adrenaline that I felt, like, it was better than any drug. Like, honestly, like, it was crazy. So
Would you do another one?
yeah, I was going to do a Muay Thai fight, but I tore my hammy playing indoor soccer last week, which
When
kind of makes me realise that I'm too old for this shit. But that's all right.
Shout out Nathan.
I'll wait.
Thanks for
Yeah,
that.
thanks, Nath. But yeah, I'll wait till it's healed, and then I'll have a Muay Thai fight for sure. Yeah,
Did you? You know, I was like on the Goldie somewhere.
yeah, on the Goldie.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
Just through the gym, you kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was literally going to sign up like that week, and that happened.
Because you spar once a week normally.
Yeah, so like just sparring once a week, maybe twice a week, and then I've got a session with my coach Sid as well. Yeah, I love it. It's just something like it's from when you're doing something like combative like that, you don't think about anything else. And my mind goes a million miles an hour with work all the time. And that's just something for me. I can completely zone out, and I have nothing else matters apart from just being in that moment, which is almost like a moment of peace. I know it might not seem like a peaceful place to be, but it is, and it's cool. So yeah, I love it. So yeah, we'll see how we go.
I did a video and I talked about from the outside it looks like the house is burning down, but from the inside it's like pure bliss, like
calm.
Yeah, it's like and I guess with like the racing thing and the fighting, and anytime you get into that and you see people surf big waves, and that you've got to be in that state, like you're gonna die otherwise. Like literally, like it's
you
like
need to be calm.
You've got to be calm and find that place. And I think with the whole fighting aspect of it, like it's humbling because you can feel like the man and you get punched in the face a few times and you go, okay, I'm not shit right now. Like, and it's probably going to sound harsh saying this, but a lot of people need to get punched in the face.
That's right.
And they'd probably be better people for it.
Yeah.
But they don't want humbling, man.
Very humbling. Man.
You get choked out by a guy doing like jiu-jitsu, you get punched in the face boxing, and you go, oh shit. Especially when it's from someone you wouldn't think would do it either. Like I think we all walk around thinking, oh, like, I'm
all good.
I'm pretty tough. I'm 6 foot something. I got some muscles. And then you get choked out by a guy that's like 60 kilos and you go, oh, I'm not shit.
Well played.
Yeah, well played, sir. But yeah, I think, that's the thing. And it comes back again. Always like the whole idea of like pain and what you get from that. And we always try and run from it. We're so scared of it. And you actually like dive into it a little bit and you go, oh, I needed that.
So it's not that bad. Everything's way worse until you do it and you're like, oh, it's not that bad.
It's the build up to it. Like, I like needles, for example. If I get like a flu shot, dude, I'm like, oh, I don't want this flu shot. Freaking like not like just concerned for what's about to happen. Yeah. And like, all right, done. And you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's funny how you can like what you conceive in your mind, and like how weak your mind is. It's like you'll just tell yourself a million times that it's going to hurt you, or you can't do it, or this is like it's not possible. But like it's just your mind telling you to quit. And then when you go through it, you're like, oh, it was fine. It was literally not that hard.
The self-talk to pull yourself out of something.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before, but it's if you have really negative thoughts towards a situation, whether it be like hopping in an ice bath, going for a run, going to talk to a girl, record yourself saying all the reasons you wouldn't do it and then listen back to it. You will sound like a little bitch. Like you're not, and then you hear it and you're like, oh man, like what am I saying? Like, I remember I brought an ice bath when I was living down in Vic, and before I hopped in the first time, man, I brought one. It wasn't like I was getting in one. I brought it, and I still was like, oh, I'm not feeling that good. Like I got a bit of a cough. Like I'll probably get sick if I like just any excuse, and you justify those reasons to yourself as well. And then eventually I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like just get in the bath, man. And you do it and it's not that bad. And you get out and you're like, okay, that was fine.
But then how good do you feel afterwards because you've done something that you didn't want to do? Then you're like, oh fuck, like feel invigorated.
Mm.
You feel like you've achieved something.
Mm.
And yeah, like no matter, like ice bar is a perfect example. You get out of an ice bath, you're like, I've done something I did not want to do, and now I feel phenomenal for it because I've gone against the grain of like what my mind's telling me.
And I think it's just training for life, because like hard shit's gonna happen to you no matter what. You lock yourself in a box or a house and don't go out and do much, like people are still gonna die. Things are gonna happen. Like life's gonna throw some shit at you that's gonna make you feel really shit and be really hard. So at least if you are prepping yourself by putting yourself out there and doing those things that are hard, when those hard things come, you're like, oh, I've kind of been training for this. In all these little ways.
You manage it.
Yeah,
Manage
yeah.
it, yeah.
You can
totally.
manage it way better.
Yeah.
I want to talk, because this is very in the moment thing, but talking about like how when you're in a situation and there can be people that are quite reactive, and kind of the process of not reacting based off of what they're doing, and kind of, you know, when it's like if someone throws something at you, almost the first instinct is to throw something back.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So it's like in those moments, it's like, how do you feel like you deal with that kind of seeing through what they've thrown and instead just being like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Do you have like kind of like tools in place where you can not be as reactive to certain situations?
Yeah, like I used to be super reactive, like ridiculous, and like I've done a fair bit of work on myself the past few years, and one of the big things is like now and don't get me wrong, sometimes I can be reactive, like we're all human, right? But the big thing now is like when someone does something that doesn't doesn't sit well with me or pisses me off, then I just instantly I go, but why? Like, why are they doing that? Is there like, there has to be a reason that somebody is acting like that. Now, it could be their personality, but then it's like, but why? So if their personality is that, it's like there's got to be a reason behind it. Something further down the track has made them react the way that they are. And then same as all that sort of stuff, man. If someone's like flying off the handle or whatever, it's like there's a reason, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, maybe they're going through some real bad shit, and then that is way worse than me having to deal with them flying off the handle a little bit, because I understand that it's just whatever. But they might be going through some real deep, dark stuff. I don't know. But I always that's my rationale behind like not reacting to people that, are doing something that's a bit over the top. But like, once again, it depends, man. Like, it depends where I'm at, because if I've got shit going on, then I'm probably going to react as well, because I've got a shorter fuse and I'm not being rational with how I'm thinking, and like, that for me is a big like process for me, is like, okay, but what are they doing? So then I don't go over the top and be the person I don't want to be. But then, sometimes that does happen. So
yeah, it's almost like giving them a shoulder, not a fist, in a way.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more for like your inner peace. It's like, man, if you're reacting to someone, you've let that affect you. Your reaction is simply you've been affected by that individual. So whatever they've done, they've ruined your day because you've reacted the way that you don't want to react. So how can you allow them to not impact you? It's like, well, just understand that they've got something going on, and that they're not showing up like they usually would. So it's out of character, and there's something going on that's going to make that happen. And then that gives you inner peace to understand that it's all good.
Yeah.
Because without that, you're frustrated, you're annoyed, and that's like chews up your bandwidth, man. Like, it's tiring. Like,
so tiring.
Yeah, like reacting.
So tiring.
Yeah, of course. And like I don't have enough fucking bandwidth for myself, let alone for other people's bullshit. So it's like, well, if you're gonna carry on, it's like, cool. Like, you've obviously got something there, and that's cool. But like,
You can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna let it impact me. once again, this is like me in a perfect world.
Yeah, when
'Cause
everything's going right. Yeah,
yeah,
but it's just trying to have
'cause-
those cues to be like, all right, breathe. It's all good. There's something else.
But that's the biggest thing for me. Like, if there's the huge takeaway for me, and that's something that I've learned to do, is just dissect it, take a minute and go, okay, that person's acted like that, but why? Like, I wonder what's going on for them to have actually acted like that. Like, they have to have something going on that's not really nice right now. They've got some head noise, otherwise they wouldn't have done that. So that's been a really big change for me.
So again, it's like the whole let the ego go. It's not all about me. There's something else.
Yeah,
I'm just here right now. The timing's not good, like
right,
kind
yeah.
of thing. But
It's like if it's a friend, like, or someone that you respect or that you have a good relationship with, and you know that it's out of character, it's like, well, fuck, like they're not acting like they would, so there's got to be something else there. But yeah, I think it's easier said than done.
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Just trying to find, like you said, those cues to be like, like you have that like deep breath kind of thing, and you go, because sometimes, like, this is me personally, like I feel like I'm a pretty mellow, chilled out, easygoing kind of person, and will fix most things.
Can agree with that.
But sometimes it's just like, there is a kind of somewhat of a breaking point, I feel like, in everyone. And I think maybe not even a breaking point, but just a point where you're just like, I've kind of got something to say, and it almost carries more weight with it, because if someone is a certain way, like if someone's always reactive and they react, you're like, well, that's normal. But if someone's not reactive and they kind of lose their shit, you go, okay, kind of thing. And there's times you almost want to somewhat indulge in that and just be like, fuck this and fuck you, and just kind of leave this kind of trail of destruction with negative shit you're throwing out. But then the aftermath of that's never really going to be a peaceful thing.
And I mean, it's once it's with you, it's like you've reacted to someone. It's like it's with you. It's like the internal dialogue and the internal frustrations, because you've gone and done something that you wouldn't usually have done. So like you're going to beat yourself up over acting like a child. So like, fuck, like, why did I do that? It's so stupid. Like, why have I acted like that? I did it to you the other day.
Yeah, it's just
And I was like, oh, hang on, that's out of character. Like, why am I doing that? So everyone has their moment of weakness and like their moment of like not being them. And just how you like bounce out of it.
Yeah, and I think it's the whole like because it's this thing where it's like, if someone does something that you wouldn't do, there's this trigger in your mind that looks at it as being wrong. And I'm like, it's not wrong, it's just different. And different doesn't mean wrong. And it's just like, that's the thing. I think so many people, if they see someone doing something that isn't what they would do, this isn't the right thing. And I saw this thing ages ago, and I think it was over in maybe China or like Thailand or something. They have this festival and they eat dogs. And not my thing. I love dogs. But I look at that as like, that's their thing. They eat dogs. And this guy was posting about it, like, this festival needs to get stopped, and like just putting up all this stuff about it. And he was like horrified because he's obviously a dog lover. And I looked at it and I go, but we're all good here eating like chickens and pigs and cows. And I'm like, that's an animal, man. Just because you have an emotional connection with your dog or a dog or all dogs, why does that make what they're doing wrong or right? And I look at that as like, that's their culture. That's what they do. Like, I don't go to farmers and go, you can't keep killing these chickens or cows or whatever. It's like, agree with it or not, it's like some people have different ways of living and being, and throwing all this stuff that you're wrong and I'm right is like, it's not, it's different, man. And just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean you need to like jump down their throat or be aggressive towards them because of that.
I mean, I've been to China, and like, and when I went, I actually ate dog. I'm a massive dog. I've had dogs since I was a kid. But I'm
Shout
also
out Duke.
Yeah, my man. But at the same time, it's like I love deep diving into the cultures of the places that I visit. And I ate some wild stuff over there, like scorpion, grasshopper, silkworm. Fuck, man, like we went to these markets, and like they've got like goats, cock and balls, like it's wild. But we went to a restaurant and they farm, so they farm dogs there. So they don't, it's not like they're pulling a dog off the street and eating it. And don't get me wrong, it was very hard to like make that transition to like try a dog and like eat it without a negative sort of like view on it straight away. But like I gave it a crack and I tried it, and same like mate, like pigs, how smart are pigs?
Yeah.
Like super intelligent. But we have them, with eggs, eggs and bacon. It's like no dramas. It's like, well, what's the difference?
There's none.
No.
It's just an emotional connection you have with that animal.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
What was China like? Because you went there recently and you said it's just out of control with the size, the infrastructure, the industry of what.
Dude, so I went when I was like 16 with school. What's that? It's like 15 years ago now. No, more. But
don't worry about it.
Yeah, anyway,
it's a while ago.
Like 21 or so. But yeah, and then so I went there and like got to see it, and it was like very third world feeling to the place, in terms of like little stalls and like street, like I don't know, just it had a different feel. I went this time round, and man, like the way that they have like progressed it's scary, like it's crazy. Like even I went to some of the factories where we that make our machines, and going in there, and back in the day it used to be very like manual, so it was like the manual labour was cheap there, which meant that the machines could be cheap, or the whatever it is that you're bringing in could be cheap because the manual labour is cheap. But they've progressed so much now that like they're using robotics and high-end engineers and some of the best machinery in the world. Like these guys aren't making amateur stuff anymore. Like China are making fucking good stuff. Like the epicenter of all manufacturing. Like they have to be doing something right. So I had a very different view to it. And man, I don't know if there was a documentary on the ghost cities of China. I think it's about a 10-year-old documentary. And the documentary basically goes through and explains that China were basically building full cities with zero population 10 years ago. Like entire cities, full, high rises, like everything, right? Zero population. They're all completely full, like completely full. Like we went to a city where my factory is like 2.5 hours north of Beijing, and we went there, and this city literally is just gym equipment. Like there's like warehouses that go 200 meters long by 50 meters wide times 4. That's one factory. Like the sheer size of these places is actually scary. I've never seen anything like it. So yeah, it's a very, very different feel than it used to be, for sure. But it's cool to see.
The scale of it all, hey, and just a different.
Yeah. But I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, talk 10, 15 years, or no, 15, 20 years. I mean, how much have we progressed in 20 years? So it's only natural that they're going to progress, but way more.
Because I guess that's the thing, you always had but it's Chinese, like made in China. Like made in China was
it's a stigma.
It's stigma, yeah. But then it gets to that point where you go, well, it's all robotics now. Made in China is a robot doing it. It's not even us. It's just we have the factories and the infrastructure to produce it.
Yeah. And
then that catches up with everything. Yeah. Everything else.
I mean, because the quality, and I think the thing is over there is you can get Ferrari quality, you can get Datsun quality. Like Datsun's alright.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Sorry, man. But you know what I mean. So you can get polar ends of the scale, and it's like
Volvo quality. Oh, is it right?
I mean, they're a very safe car.
Yeah. Okay. What's a shit car?
I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone. So.
Commodore quality.
But so yeah, you can get like really high end stuff, and you can get really low end stuff, and it's all relevant to what you pay. So yeah, gone is the days of thinking like everything that comes from China's crap. It's just what the brands who are selling stuff here, it's like, what are they putting forward? Are they spending a bit more money to get higher quality, or are they spending less money and charging more because they're trying to be greedy? Like, which is so common.
It's an interesting thing, man. Super interesting. I'm going to completely shift gears from Chinese factories now, and talk
Cool.
about. So, what is your feeling about the way dating in a society is going, and in particular, like dating apps, and whether it be a net positive or net negative thing?
Oh,
The shift, hey.
yeah. Dating apps are like I personally think it's only a negative. I think a dating app would be really cool for a super busy professional, that was unable to go and meet someone out because they have such a taxing job. Cool, like in terms of just the initial meet, how I think that online dating is being used at the moment, especially from like sort of early 20s or from 18 till 35, 40. I think it's used very differently now. It's like just used for, well, firstly, it's like a lot of hookups rather than actually meeting the right person and wanting to do that. But I think even before that is that people are just getting validation from being liked, and it's like, oh, sweet, that'll do. Next,
I'm wanted.
next.
Sweet.
Yeah, but even like just like how we I feel like we're so fixated on really fast stuff. Like we're just bored of something, we move on so quickly. It's kind of the same, like it's like TikTok videos, right? It's like being ingrained to just love something for 5-10 seconds and then it moves on, and then it's like the next one, or like movies now where they have like an absurd amount of scenes in a movie. I think the need not need
Fast and Furious.
Fast and the Furious, like the
I
latest
couldn't
one
even
had
watch
like
it.
had this unreasonable amount of like cuts into different scenes.
Explosions.
Like
And
the most
cuts and
most scenes I think ever or something. So
I'm-
same thing.
I'm actually gonna say that is probably one of the worst movies I've ever watched.
I haven't seen
Don't
it.
do it, man.
I
I watched
know.
on the plane. I stopped it 3 times, but then I was like, I've got to finish it just because I'm on a plane and there's nowhere to go and there's not that many other good movies. But honestly, from where those movies started to then where they have gotten is like
It's absurd.
that kind of shows the storytelling aspect of cinema, and like a good story will sell. Where it's like, no, now you just need action, explosions, and cuts.
Yeah, 100%. But I think it's the same thing. So that like reverts back to that. It's like, ooh, like moment of gratitude, or sorry, moment of like success. Like, fuck yeah, that was good. Okay, cool. Next. So no one's actually even talking to someone. It's like, they'll like say 2 words and then that'll fizzle out because the next shiny thing comes again.
Yeah,
It's like,
and that's what I mean,
Move on. It's so unhealthy.
That can't be healthy. I thought
No.
about that because you literally have 4 words to someone, and then someone else is like, it's like the options, man. The options. It's like I've heard something. It's like I think over 50% of people are getting divorced now, and I also hate the statistics. It's like, oh, back in our day we had real love. I'm like, you probably did because you didn't have all these options and distractions. It's like you can't compare your grandparents' love to yours because it's not the same. It's not the same
different.
era. It's not the same health. It's not the same food. It's a different time to be alive. But in saying that, like with the dating apps, there's so much stimulus there that's like you
Crazy.
could go on a date every single day, twice a
Yeah.
day, like so much, and then it's everyone's like if you think about if you're talking to someone on like Tinder or Hinge or something, you've kind of got to think that they're talking to another 4 or 5 other people, and it's like how do you build a connection with someone that you've kind of got the underlying thing that they're doing that, but then on the flip, you're also doing that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's just like,
it's like you're already starting off without like, I don't know, being faithful.
yeah,
I get like kind of, because it's like, well, I'm talking to 5 other people, and this person's like me, so I've like kind of explored that, and then you've done this. So I don't know.
it's, but then it's also, it's going to be an interesting time now, man, especially with all, obviously, like AI stuff, and like at what point are you pretty much, because even now you've got all like OnlyFans and stuff, and like all these people feel like they have these real connections with people that is just all bullshit. But then if you just say, at some point there's going to be like an AI robot that is going to be the hottest thing you've ever seen, and is going to know exactly what to say to you, is know exactly where to touch you, knows all that. And then it's like, okay, do you even want real connection with a real person at that point? Obviously you do, but
Well, I don't know. We even know what we even
can
know
you tell,
if there's
can
a
you tell the
difference?
difference? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going into that point where it's like, it's like what's going to go on with love? Like, where's love going to come out on all this stuff? Like, how are you going to have that real connection with someone when there's so many options, there's so many fake things that can make you feel certain ways, but it's not actually really there. And it's, I've got no idea, but I just thought with every time I think about, like, I had Hinge for a bit, I deleted it just because it's just, like you said, it's a dopamine hit straight to your ego.
It is, yeah.
It's like you just have a list of people that like you or want to talk to you or whatever, and then you just feel like validation just from seeing that before you even chat to. You haven't even met up with these people, and you're like, oh yeah, like these people want. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, I feel wanted.
Yeah, oh dude, it's so bad.
Yeah.
Like I think about any serious long-term relationship that I've been in, and it's pretty much all been just in passing somewhere. I've met someone or been out, or like it's just a real life encounter that's led to something more. But
same. Yeah, same. And like, I feel the exact same way because it's like you're like, I'll give it a go. Maybe I will find the right person, and maybe you will. And I've got no doubt that there are plenty of people out there that have met the right person through a dating app, no doubt. But I feel like the vast majority, and I speak to people about it all, it's like, oh, it's fucking useless on there. It's so shit. Just the caliber of person is embarrassing. You know, it's like, so all that sort of stuff. It's like, well, I don't know. Like, what's the point in even doing it? Because you're just wasting a lot of time. And I'm guilty because I have a dating app.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just like the amount of time wasted. Like, I don't really even use it a great deal anymore because I'm just like, fuck, I actually don't know if I'm ever going to even meet the right person through a dating app. Like, I think in the back of my mind, I think that's not going to happen. So like,
you're
almost counted myself out.
Yeah, you're almost against it before it's even happened.
Yeah. I mean,
The funny thing is when someone will message you and you reply and they'll reply and you go, this is boring, and you'll leave it. But then you'll message someone and they'll message and then they'll stop. But you get it because
same thing.
You're doing the exact same thing, and it's just
Even like meeting someone that you have no idea who they are, and you've just you're going to meet up on a blind date essentially. Like, I don't
dating's
know.
draining.
You're never going to show
man.
up. You're never going to show up 100% you, and they'll never show up 100% them because you're putting your best foot forward. It's pretty much like an interview, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is me, like
shiny me. Yeah.
Yeah, right. This is the best parts of me, and I'm going to give you none of the negative stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, why would you, right? Like, why would you give someone all the negatives when you're trying to put on the best show of, like, explaining who you are and what you do and all this stuff? So, I don't know.
Could you imagine if lying wasn't invented?
Just
you ask a question, you get the answer.
Straight
Life
up.
would probably flow a lot better. I was always thinking that. Imagine if,
you're right.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot simpler, wouldn't it?
You cut the bullshit out straight away.
Yeah.
I was always thought, imagine if you couldn't lie, or you just had kind of all like your shit that you were good or bad at, and it was like illuminated above your head.
Just like
you could just
okay, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's like a sign above you that's like, okay, like you
manageable. Yeah,
but you're transparent to who you are as a person, and you've got to show the good and the bad.
That'll
and then
never happen.
No, because we live in this world where we just show all the good.
Yeah.
And all the bad's just hidden in the corner that will come up eventually if you do actually spend a lot of time with someone.
Dirty laundry.
Yeah.
For sure. Which is why I feel like, getting into a relationship with a person that you have known for a period of time before, and they know unapologetically who you are, and you've never hidden anything because it's come from a friendship perspective. I feel like that is so much more natural because when you then go into the relationship aspect of it, it's like there's nothing to hide. You know everything, good, bad, ugly, and it's like there's never a moment of trying to show up the best. You're just showing up who you are. So I think there's a big difference there. Like I've always been, I think, an advocate for like my last ex, we were friends prior, you know. Obviously we're not together now, but I still feel like that entry into a relationship is a pretty cool one because you know everything, and you know.
I think the love and the lust thing when you meet someone kind of clouds your judgment of who they are. If you meet someone as a friend, it's you're not looking at them in that way, and it's like, oh, you see them for them, not for, oh, they're so attractive, or oh, this and that, and that kind of like alters how you actually show up because you're kind of thinking about it.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of longevity in that as well, right? So, anyway, I don't know, relationships are tough beast, mate.
What's it like? I was going to say, because it's also the difference in dating from when you're 18 to when you're like 25 to when you're 30. Like, it's like that, like, how did you feel the biggest change from, you know, when you seem to date? And I've noticed this, obviously, when you get older, it almost feels like there's like, you know, when you play the game with the chairs, like musical chairs, and the chairs kind of start running out, and you're like, fuck, I need to get a chair. Have you kind of felt like that at a certain...
Feel the pinch.
Not so much you, but like even other people around you, and they almost seem to go into relationships because... And I kind of feel like this is more small town thing, like not so much up here because it is quite a happening place and there's a lot of people like all ages, but I felt like in a smaller town, everyone just seems to be like get married younger or get married quickly because it's like, it's not that many chairs here. I want to sit down.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Awesome. Yeah. I think that definitely as you get older, you're feeling the pinch because there's like, well, I mean, if you want to be in a relationship, it's like, well, I want to be in a relationship, and you know, like scarcity mindset. It's like people are getting married around me, people are having kids. I'm not. I do want that. So it's like, how do I make that happen? And then, yeah, I guess you're probably more likely to settle for maybe second or third best, you know, but also I think as you get older, you also are very clear with what you want in a relationship and in a partner. So I also think that that's probably, it makes things a little bit easier. You can probably progress a little bit faster into something because you kind of know, you're like, okay, this is what I'm chasing. And, you know, if you don't have those particular attributes, then we're probably not going to work. So it's like, when you do find it, it's like, okay, let's give it a crack, you know.
That's the thing, knowing, hey.
Yeah.
It's like, if it ain't this, I don't want it. And I think you can take that out. Like, even in my past relationship, it didn't work out, and there's reasons why, and I've become okay with that. But the feeling I did get when I was in it at points was like, oh, this is how, like, if I'm not feeling this good about something, I don't want it. And it makes you like more picky, obviously, because you have a certain level of expectation you hold in another person. It's not even expectation, because it's like you don't expect them to do, or you just expect them to be them, and who they show up as them is who you want to be with. But it's also not that expectation. It's not like you need to do this or you need to do that. It's just like you need to be you, and I should be attracted to you if you're that person. Because I think it is hard as well in a relationship. We all put so many, like the whole idea of like unconditional love. I'm like, we always put conditions on it. Like there's so many conditions on love. It's like, I'll love you if you come home at this time. I'll love you if you don't drink on the weekend with the boys. I'll love you. And it's like you met me for me, and I was being me when you met me. Don't try and alter that now that it's gotten further along, that in this that you go, okay, well, I actually don't like these things about you. It's like, well, this should have come up at the start when we were learning who we both were. Yeah. Not like, it's almost just hiding that until you get to a point. It's like, oh, I'm comfortable now. So now I'm going to be like, you need to change this, and this. Yeah. And that can go both ways.
Or it's like just dumping, you know, the real you into a relationship and going, I didn't this wasn't what I enjoyed or what I fell in love with. Like, how are you doing that right now?
Yeah, like, this is me. I'm like, where was that person 6 months ago when we met?
This is new you. I'm not into it.
This is new you.
Yeah, new you's not cool.
Yeah, new year, bro, new me.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so I reckon we can edit there.
Cool.
I don't know what I'm going to call this, because I probably shouldn't keep trying to do spin-offs of the same thing, because it like is D&M's with Dean. But if we do like several episodes, I just want to somehow put like Maybe we'll get Sultans to swing. You know, the
So-
Sultans. We'll get that as like
The dance Sultan.
the intro music, just like dong.
But yeah, no, I'm keen to keep at it.
We're trying to do.
Cool.
I want to do a thing. I think I need it again in the brain. I need to put into play, but I want to write like a heap of, or get people to write in questions or topics
Yeah.
and stuff, and just write them down, and we literally just pull them out of a jar, and
Yeah,
then you just have
same.
like half
Yeah,
an hour to
100%.
an hour or something. Just go, all right, 5 questions or something. Go through and go bang bang bang.
Done.
Yeah, easy.
Keen.
All right, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.